My nominated work is called Il voto dell'innocenza, and it's been performed by Modelo62, which was a really, truly great performance. And I must mention that I really enjoyed working with them. We had 4 rehearsals in The Hague, and they've been really helpful and really contributing to the process, so I'm really thankful. So what I can say about the piece is that it's based on an extremely simple principle. What we have in the piece is that I have a singular musical phrase that is, it's basically played only by the piano, and the rest of the ensemble, rest of the instruments are echoing the attacks of the piano. So this phrase is every time same. There's no difference, there's no development, it is not going anywhere, it's not transforming into something else. But what I'm trying to do is to point out different relationships in between the pitches of this singular musical phrase, and to perhaps try to throw different lights, trying to point out different points of this, what's happening within the phrase. So overall I have 6 reiterations of the single phrase, and this is what the piece is.
Okay. Could you tell us something about the title?
Il voto dell'innocenza, sure. It has been named after the sculptor of the work of Italian sculptor Lorenzo Bartolini. I got acquainted with this work in Florence when I visited Galleria dell'Accademia, and it is basically a young girl, and she has doves in her hands and some flowers in her hair. She seemed extremely sad, this is what I can say, but it's more about, not about this image of the girl, but it's more about the experience that I've had before this work. Experience was, I find, extremely special in the sense that, Galleria dell'Accademia is a huge gallery. However, I spent in front of this single thing like 40 minutes because it was extremely detailed. The way Bartolini crafted this work was containing too many details, so many details that with each glance I've been discovering new details in the same object. So this is also what I'm trying to convey to the piece of music. So you're all the time looking at the same object, but you're discovering new details on the surface of this object.
Is music something which happens in the ears of the listeners?
Basically it is, because there are many factors. For example, even if let's think that I wouldn't be making any changes, I wouldn't be pointing out intentionally any other details on this singular melody, even if we would be playing every time in the same way, it will be different. It would be different because there are so many factors. There's the time is going on, so you already heard the melody once, and second time you don't quite sure maybe if it was the same or not, or something happened within the performance. Some durations are maybe it was a bit longer, some things were shorter, so it can be never the same. So it's that's true in one sense that how you perceive makes a big difference, and it determines probably what the piece is in one sense.
Yeah. There was also another piece performed this week by the Emre Prijs. Could you tell a bit about that piece as well? Well,
I wrote the piece for the Young Composers meeting, which was held this year, in last February in Apeldoorn. This is annual, everyone knows about it, and it's a great place to be. I recommend to everyone. And so I wrote this piece for the Emre Prijs and 2 singers and the orchestra Emre Prijs. So, which is, it's 3 minutes piece, is quite small in one sense. However, in the sense of, logic, how I approach the form is entirely, probably antipode, entirely opposite of the nominated piece. Because in nominated piece, I focus on one singular object, whereas in Lovemaking is the title of the piece for the Emre Prijs. I juxtapose entirely different scenes. There are like 4 scenes, and they're all completely different from each other in the sense of pitch material, the atmosphere, rhythmic patterns, density in all the senses. So this is more or less my two directions. Sometimes I'm becoming extremely focused on one thing and make one piece out of one thing, and sometimes I just juxtapose entirely different and diverse material.
Yeah. And it's called lovemaking?
Well, it's in one sense illustrative. It's inevitable, but it's more. I mean, it was not my departure point. Was not that I would illustrate the process of love or something, but it's rather I got acquainted with the poems of this Turkish Cypriotic poet Mehmet Yaşin. I just liked his poetry a lot, and I wanted to do something based on his poetry, and he has this poem called Lovemaking. However, it was quite long, and the sentences were really long. So, since the piece was only 3 minutes, it had to be 3 minutes, I just picked several fragments that I thought if I would put them one after another, it kind of it makes sense. So yeah, I just like the text a lot, and in one sense, well, it's quite normal. It's quite traditional, my way of approaching it, in the sense that if I have a text, then I illustrate it. It's vocal music, and for me, it's very important to if I have this poem, I need to you really support the meaning and serve the meaning of the text.
It's so interesting because the two pieces are, like you say, very, very different, but still you can hear they have the same autograph. Do you have that feeling yourself as well?
Well, I'm extremely happy to hear that, first of all, that you find there is something common. Because sometimes even I'm not sure what are the common things in between my pieces, because you're in it and you don't have this objective instance. Anyway, what might be same is perhaps well, I'm trying to develop whatever I do, even if in my really impulsive pieces, I'm trying to be extremely refined and trying to listen to all the details, and so that they're perceptible and everything is extremely well thought. I have this tendency, which is in the technical sense. The second thing might be that for me it's very important that my music has tangible, palpable, emotional content to express with very simple words. If I want to express something happy, then I want it to be really happy. Or if it's something is exciting, I'm trying to make it really exciting. So I'm not so much afraid of exposing my feelings and emotions. Perhaps that might be the in the sense of emotions, what are that's why maybe they sound from the same person.
Yeah. You've been working for quite some time now with the new ensemble. What would you say is the most important thing that you have learned in that period, and what would you hope is the most important thing they have learned from you?
Well, first of all, I need to state that I'm not really officially working anymore at the new ensemble because we don't have subsidy. So some people, well, most of the people had to go. So sometimes I'm just doing things on the freelance basis, but still I have obviously very good relations with them, and I like them a lot. What I learned from them was, well, of course, I attended a lot of rehearsals with them. I've watched, simply I observed a lot, and that is, of course, giving you an incredible amount of knowledge about the possibilities of the instruments. Mm-hmm. Moreover, I know all these people, all these musicians, well, relatively well, I can say, and I know all what they like to do, what they can do. And this gives you, of course, especially the pieces that I wrote, like a couple or 3 pieces for new ensemble, and I'm trying to be extremely personal to all of the musicians, which is something I like to do as a composer anyway. If I'm working with a certain group of people, I'm trying to, not that I'm like resigning from my identity as a composer, but I like to personalize pieces according to the ensemble, and I think in this sense my relation with them developed me a lot in this sense. What they could learn from me, I don't know. I mean, they're working with so many composers, and they're making especially so many projects with young composers. Especially from me, what can be well, you inevitably probably learn something from every piece and every person that with whom you acquainted. So I won't be able to say how I could contribute to their process, but probably there was something. I don't know. If to be honest, I don't have really material or like concrete ambitions, in the sense that, you know, I want to be teaching in that conservatory, I want to be played all over the world, not something like this. It's just I'm in a process. I think I'm not yet quite defined in the sense of, you know, who am I, and I don't have this probably trademark in music. I just however, I really enjoy what I'm doing. I explore and I go to different directions, and I'm just hoping to be able to continue like this. I don't want to fall into kind of pattern of writing music, and I just want to continue my way, and without compromise, hopefully, and to understand what I want better, probably to be more clear about my place in the whole world. So it's quite abstract, but this is it.
Okay. Emre, thank you very much.
Thank you.